The fraud scandal obviously has been dominating Minnesota headlines. It had a national spotlight on it within the past few months. Obviously, that's been overshadowed the past couple of weeks, right? In the national headlines, at least. When you're looking at this fraud scandal, which was described by the lead prosecutor as industrial level fraud, he said at the time last month that this could be at about $9 billion worth of fraud, is what he believed it could be. Do you think, though, because this is fading away from national headlines, this will be a serious issue in this race?
It's not fading away. Right now, there are things that are a little bit louder, but the fraud has not gone away. Again, Governor Walz has not fired a single commissioner. In fact, he promoted a commissioner in Department of Human Services here in Minnesota. Our acting commissioner right now, Shireen Gandhi, was in DHS, that's Department of Human Services, in 2017 as a compliance officer. Yet that is one of the biggest areas of fraud. So it has been allowed to perpetuate. This is not going to be forgotten by Minnesotans because in 2023, we had an $18 billion surplus, and that is billion-dollar surplus here in the state of Minnesota. Democrats had full control of the state. Governor Walz signed every bill that spent that entire surplus and raised all of our taxes and fees here in the state of Minnesota another $10 billion. Now we are facing a deficit of almost $6 billion in the next few short years. And when Minnesotans have realized that they have lost their tax dollars to fraud and we're in a deficit, fraud is not going away for voters or anyone here in Minnesota.
And I'm hearing you say, hey, I've been raising the alarm on this for years, right? When you've said this years ago, I believe you said starting in 2019,
Yeah.
what was the response to that, especially from Democrats in the state? And how has the tune changed in the years that followed / recent months?
Yeah, Democrats in the state of Minnesota, even before I was in the legislature, there were reports of suitcases, proven reports of suitcases with thousands of dollars of cash going through TSA at our airport. There were reports of childcare centers that didn't have kids in them. There were these reports that were coming forward. And the minute, and it had a lot to do with some people, not everyone, but some people within the Somali community. The minute anything was raised or a question was raised about any type of fraud, immediately the Democrats would claim that it was being racist. Well, as everyone knows, crime and fraud, stolen tax dollars, that has nothing to do with race whatsoever. That is theft of tax dollars. And so that was a lot of times the response you were getting from Democrats in the state house. Again, I couldn't get any movement on a bill that was just a common internal control that any business would put into place. And so there was a choosing to ignore it or not want to take full responsibility for maybe what was going on. When that budget exploded that much, and Governor Walz did say, we are a generous state, so our social services are exploding in this way. That's why the costs are so high. The thing about that is half of it or more was going in fraud. And so as I've talked to parents with kids with autism, I've talked with parents with kids with disabilities, adults with disabilities. Now those programs are on hold and they're not getting the services they need. Well, Governor Walz and his administration, and then of course the federal administration is looking at this. So people that needed these dollars the most are not being served, or they're not being served in a timely manner. That is a disservice to the people of Minnesota. That never should have happened. It has happened. It's gone on for years, and that is part of why I'm running for governor.
And I've had multiple conversations over the past month with Blois Olson, and he said, yeah, this has gone away a little bit as of now in the national headlines, but fraud is a huge issue still for the people of Minnesota. I hear that's one of your top issues. What are your other issues that you're running on?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, our taxes and the fact that they've been stolen, that's the fraud piece first. But Minnesota is one of the highest tax states, both individual income tax and corporate income tax. And so I'm looking at reducing our tax base, making sure that our businesses can grow and thrive here where we've lost businesses because of mandates and the tax climate here, making sure businesses can grow and thrive. And then, as I mentioned earlier, only half of our kids can read at grade level here in Minnesota. We used to be known for our excellent education outcomes. And so I am running to lower taxes, to end the fraud, to improve our education and make sure Minnesota is a business friendly state.
And my last question to you is, someone did drop out of the race this week, Attorney Chris Maddow. He was a Republican candidate. He said part of the reason he was dropping out is because he believed Republican candidates nationwide, and Republicans nationwide rather, were an albatross essentially on Minnesota Republicans. They're dragging it down, making it impossible for a Minnesota Republican to win statewide. And I've heard in other interviews you saying that you would like an endorsement from President Trump. Back in 2024, we remember two reasons he won: immigration and the economy. Voters thought that he would do a better job at handling those than President Biden and then Vice President Kamala Harris. But as of now, he's been in office for a year. People aren't giving him good marks when it comes to immigration. The majority of the country disapprove with how he's handling that. And immigration, they're seeing policies play out in your state. And the majority of Americans are saying, what I'm seeing is something that's being taken too far. Also, the economy, not good marks there. People feel pessimistic about the economy. They're feeling that their money just isn't going far enough. Do you think that an endorsement from him would help your campaign?
I would welcome an endorsement from President Trump, and he has absolutely delivered on the things that he said on the economy and on immigration. He secured our borders where we had people flooding in. By securing our borders, it means that there is less drugs, there's less fentanyl, there's less other dangerous drugs, there's less dangerous people. He's delivered on those promises. I would welcome an endorsement from President Trump. Again, I am working hard here in the state of Minnesota to get things done for our state. I've got a proven track record of being able to win. Leading my caucus, I brought us into a tie and broke full Democrat control here in the state of Minnesota. And so that is why I am running. Those are the things that I'm working on. And I look forward to the opportunity to continue serving the people of Minnesota.